Hello, Anders.
Hello.
You have been a philosophical practitioner for many years, for more than 25 years. You taught at the university, philosophy at the university in northern Norway, and you have been many years a member of the German Association for Philosophical Practice. And one of the things that you have been doing, is philosophical counseling, right? Can you tell us what are, from your perspective, the main ideas, the main principles of philosophical practice, philosophical counseling?
I think the main idea is that life is not so easy to live, and that we need to reflect upon this troublesome thing to be a human being and to live in the world. And I think that, to me, that is what philosophy is about, to try to understand life and the challenges of being a human being. So as I started my philosophical practice in Tromsø, I gave
Tromsø, that's in northern Norway.
It is the world's, the northernmost university of the world is up in Tromsø.
Okay.
And then I gave 5 open lectures on philosophical practice, and at that time it was very important for me to say this is not therapy. Today I would maybe not say that so make such a big point out of it, because it's quite clear that philosophical counseling has therapeutic effects. But the point was to say it is not treatment. I'm not treating someone. So if you are treating someone in medicine or in psychotherapy, you are suspected to have a pre-knowledge, scientific pre-knowledge that you apply. And I'm not applying knowledge on my guests, as I call them. What I offer is an interest to listen and to reflect upon the experiences that have come, and to bring in my experience and also my understanding of philosophical topics. And I think that was a thing that was also heard very much among people, because after that the people came, and I have never advertised my practice. I have had enough, not very many in my practice, because I have had my work at university, but I have had enough people coming, and they all said, we come to you because as I heard about this, I thought, well, I need to talk to someone. But a lady said, you see, I am not in a situation where I have become divorced, and it's very, very hard for me. But I did not want to go to psychotherapist, because then I had the feeling of being in need of treatment, and I don't think I'm in need of treatment, but I could need a reasonable person to talk to.
Yeah. Anders, I hear 2 words that you said. One is to listen, that you listen to the experiences of the other person, of the counselee. And another is reflection. Mm-hmm. Reflection, I imagine, in a philosophical way. Can you give an example to illustrate what it means to listen and to reflect?
Yeah. I could give many examples, but one example could be a young lady, a physician, a medical doctor at the hospital in Tromsø, who was working at the child department. And she came to me, and I need to talk about how hard I find to be a medical doctor at the child department, because it is so hard for me when children are dying. And to talk to the parents, and I can't stop crying myself. And then it very quickly came up that as she was a young girl herself, her younger brother died. And he died because he got poison. They had put out some poison for the rats at the house, and he had been eating something of that, and she felt guilty for having being his older sister, and she was supposed to look after him and so on. Well, I will not. I think I don't have time, and I don't need to go very much detail into this. But one could ask, yeah, but that is a typical psychotherapeutic topic, and of course it is. Of course it is. But at the same time, it is not just, or what does it mean? Just a therapeutic topic, because what does it mean that a child is dying? So what are children in our lives? And what does it mean to be a sister of a younger brother? And all that? I think these are, we could say, but that's very trivial. It's life is full of that. But I think philosophy is about that, what life is full of. It is nothing very high up in the sky that you only can read in books. You see, the question, what does it mean that children are dying? It raises the question, what are children? And I think we don't know that, really. I mean, we in one way we know it too well, because life is full of children, and we produce children ourselves, and we get children, but it is not understandable.
So what kind of points or ideas appeared or would appear in such a topic, a conversation?
Yeah, I think above all, that is quite natural to be moved when children are dying, and it is also very understandable that when you have had the experiences early in life, you can't get rid of them. You have them with you in your life, and it is a challenge in life to not to try to put away the pain you have experienced earlier in life. I think that's, to me, in my philosophical practice, a topic of, I used to talk about to reconcile with yourself, to be willing and able to accept the pain in your own life. And yeah, you could also say that is a fundamental topic of therapy. That's what makes it therapeutic, that you reconcile with your own pain. But it's important to me to say that this is a general or a universal topic. It is not something very special for you or for me, or for, oh, what's wrong with you? Do you have this pain? All human beings have to experience pain in life.
So it's a life question that all of us encounter.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it's a philosophical issue.
Yes, yes. It is a life question that everyone encounters. That's why it is a philosophical issue.
Yeah. How would you explain why it is a philosophical conversation?
Yeah, I mean, philosophy is nothing outside life. Mm-hmm. Philosophy has to be in the midst of life, and when we talk to friends and also to people who are reasonable people in some way, I think we very often go into philosophical topics. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we need to have time to reflect on things in a more calm way, and to come back and to reflect in between and to go into topics. Okay. And I think that one thing is that you need it for personal reasons, because it's so challenging for you to go into these topics, because you have had experiences yourself, and this process of reconciling with your inner pain is something that takes time. And the other thing is that it is philosophically interesting. If you are really open for that, you could also go further on to read books and to reflect on a more general level on it. But of course, when people come to my philosophical practice, in the most cases, they come so long as they have the feeling, now I have got some help and I can go on with my life. Yeah. But someone come and really get interested in the topics and want to have this free space of reflection. Well, I think some people say, the good thing about your philosophical practice is that I had the feeling it is a free space where I can come and start anew every time on the topics, on the questions that are really important for me.
So what I understand from what you say is that free space for reflection is really the heart of the philosophical counseling conversation.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, what is really the heart, but it is very, very fundamental.
No, I mean, it's not like all kinds of methods and philosophical tricks and a lot of knowledge. It's really a free space for reflection.
Yes, And that's also, it's very often a question, do you have tools, do you have methods in your practice? And I say, well, I think the first thing I do in my practice is to open this space where it is possible to be heard. And I think to open such a space, you must be willing to let the expression of your guest in the practice make an impression on you, without leading it up to some given pre-knowledge.
When you say, so it has to touch you?
Yeah, to touch you, to make an impression in the meaning of being touched by it. You could say in a vulnerable way. Often we have the methods and the pre-knowledge we put in front of us as a kind of shield. Mm-hmm. And I think professional helpers very often do that because they want to do good work. But as a philosopher, you should not be without pre-knowledge, but you should not meet your guest with your pre-knowledge as a shield. You have to be willing to be moved, yes, be touched by that, what the others say, and take it in. And by doing that, this space is opened. If you meet your guest with your pre-knowledge, you don't open this space where it's possible to talk in and to have the feeling, now I am invited in some place where it's possible to be heard.
Okay. So I hear from you that when you say to open a space, it's not just to withdraw and give time for for the counselee to talk, but to some extent to open a space in your heart as a counselor.
Yeah, I like that expression, to open a space in your heart. Maybe I would not say that, but I think I say that after you said it. Because it's a good expression. You have to open a space in your heart.
One last question, Anders. To what extent is knowledge of the philosophical literature relevant to the process that you described?
Yeah, I think it is very, very relevant. This reconciliation topic, I think it's a big philosophical topic. You could also say it has to do with consolation. Philosophers who are really interesting to read are very often not the most read philosophers. For instance, Montaigne, he writes about his own experiences, and also Plutarch, back in the old Greek, who did write a letter to his wife as their child died. Mm-hmm. These are philosophical texts that you also can recommend to your guests, because they do not. You don't need to have studied philosophy to read these texts.
So, how do these texts help you in the process? Let's say that you did read those, Plutarch and Montaigne and many others.
Yeah.
How does it come into the practice?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is a big difference how much you bring up literature in the practice. It depends upon the guest. But if you have students maybe or guests who have education and who have read and who have interest and they come for a long enough time, you can bring up literature. You can recommend things. We talk about this, you could read that. It would give you impulses. You would find that interesting to read. It's a reflection in these texts that is of the same kind as we have now.
Yeah. Okay. So really, the heart here is to open a space for reflection and listening from the perspective of the counseling, but to open a space that is also involves myself, not just an objective space out
Exactly. There. The heart is the heart.
It's the heart, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.